Wow.
Amrabat. Fuck off.
Smith Rowe is good.
Yeah. He's eyed, if you ask me. Oh, what a fucking pass.
I suddenly lost.
You better put that on.
Thoughts start running through your mind. The calmness slips away.
For me, it ended up being a blessing, right? Because all these people that I've idolized and looked up to for so many years were literally just one click away, and I could reach out to them and share with them what my idea was and actually have them respond. Like that wasn't there before. Like you can't just access a musician and all, or anybody for that matter. So and hope that they see it somehow, right? Yeah.
Home now, look at good screen.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it does.
Holy shit! That is fucking mad.
Trying to run away, but it's getting harder, and you're getting older. Not much.
So for me, the whole idea behind the artwork was mainly that I personally feel like the only way forward for humanity is to kind of go backward to like more like a primate state, which is why it's called retrograde, which is like regressing. Because I feel like, we won't have the conveniences, but we also might not have the kind of consciousness that we have now, which leads to this existential crisis or like the need to find a purpose in life or compare. It's like most of my time that I'm awake goes into my job, and music has become like more of a passion thing now, which is ironic because it's like I'm literally living the life that I shat on in my album, and it's
But it's enabled you to make that.
which is so ironic, right? Like but it's fine though, because for me that satisfaction of doing this job and funding this album myself without any support and doing everything myself. Without any support, I mean like financial support.
Yeah, I get what you mean.
That is a different level of satisfaction, but it's just a little. Sometimes I wonder, because when I decided to quit trying to pursue music is when everything happened, and by the time I already had a job and I needed that job to be able to pay for all of this. So I just can't help but think sometimes that at that point, if I just continue to stick to music and put more time into that, would I have been able to do it full time? But I guess that's just something you'll never know. So, but I do think about it sometimes. I think I reached out to people very specifically in terms of what sound I had in mind, not just to put some names on the album. So I think when I did share it with them, I guess they could see why I approached them and not somebody else. Like if I can do it, why anybody can do it. And I'm sure there are so many insane musicians who have like amazing demos and stuff just lying around because they feel like it's not going to go anywhere or anything like that. Even if one person hears this story and is like, you know what, I'm going to fucking send that message that I've been wanting to send for so long. And I think it's a win for sure.
And there goes the final whistle. Manchester United are the winners today anyway. What did you think of their performance all told?
And in terms of the passion or like the fact that, I spent so much time doing it, I think a large part of the credit goes to my folks also, because that's mental, da.
You're saying your phone?
Yeah, like I think they've seen me. I was a horrible student. I would always get into trouble in school. I could not study for the fuck of me. Like I just could not buy hard things. I have like a very bad memory. Like I couldn't pay attention in class. So for them also to see, I think when I joined Fish in the Sink, and then I kind of became obsessed with it, in the sense they could finally see me doing something with so much focus and concentration and doing it all the time. and I don't know, just let me do it, you know. They weren't like everybody around me, all my friends had jobs and they were doing really well, and like I was just sitting at home, parents were still supporting me, and just practicing and practicing and practicing, and they gave me that space to do that.
Somewhere you save yourself.
If I'm putting out music, at least it's something that that really means a lot to me, not for anything else, but it's always been there for me throughout my life. It's always intrigued me, it's always made me feel so many things, and for me, giving back to music in whatever way I can, and the hope that, you know, somebody listens to my music and feels how I feel when I listen to a lot of bands that I love, that is like something else. Like once it's out on Apple Music, Spotify, etc., like the people I wouldn't, not competing with, but you're on the same stage as like all the best bands to have ever lived, like from Pink Floyds to the Led Zeppes to like literally any band you can think of. You're on the same platform as them, and for me it's like I can't compromise. Like I don't want it to be like, oh, it's just a nice album considering that it's come from India or something like that, or like a first time. Like for me, once this whole thing started, you know, taking shape, it is like I need this to be world class. For me, Avial has been like one of the biggest influences on me as a person, as a musician. And every time I sat down to write also, it would be like, that album would be like a benchmark for me personally of what production is and what insane intricacies are there in that album. So eventually when I did reach out to Rexeta and showed him this album, and he actually liked it and he said he would come on board, that was like one of the most insane days of my life, honestly. For me, who better than the man who made like one of my favorite albums of all time to mix my album and add his touch to it. That's like proper bucket list stuff, right? And another amazing thing was when Uday came on board for Qualms of the Sheep. He was playing a show in Bangalore. This was when I lived in Bangalore the first time. He was playing a show here, and I asked him, I said, would it be possible to, you know, sit down with you and just have a coffee or something? And he just said, yeah, come down, let's have it. And I sat with him and I asked him, like I'd known that the sound engineer who'd worked for In Absentia, which is one of my favorite albums, and Pearl Jam's albums, and had worked on Indus Creed's album. So I asked him, I said, it's insane that, you know, you got to work with him and the sound is so international. How did this happen and how did you... He said he just emailed him. This is Tim Palmer that we're talking about. Yeah. And the way he described the whole experience of working with him, after a while I was like, okay, you know what? I've been reaching out to people. It's been going my way. Let's just write a mail. And I chumma emailed him and he wrote back. And he said, I love it. Let's do it. We can maybe do a radio edit single. And then for me to think that my song has echoed around the walls of that studio where some of the greatest artists in the world like have been mixed was like, I can't even explain how that felt at the time. It's crazy. At one point I was in disbelief, like I would hope that it's not some dream where I wake up and all this shit is just, you know, imaginary. But over the course of the last year and a half, I realized that that there is something in my work. It's not like they were doing me a favor or something like that. I'm sure they have enough number of people reaching out to them on a daily basis to collaborate and work with them, but it is the work to a large extent, like at the end of the day, I do deserve it. That's like initially I felt like it is all luck and, you know, it's just a complete fluke. I just happened to reach out to them at the correct time where they, you know, saw it and stuff like that. But and the proper imposter syndrome kind of thing.